Hey Isabel, so here's your image. I'm going to show you just a few tools that I use when retouching hair. So this is your original image over here in the layers tab. What you're going to do is create a new blank layer on top of that so you have something to work on. By the time I'm done retouching an image, I usually have about 50 to 100 of these, but I generally use 3 that are kind of like in my actions. So the first layer, which I'm just going to title this one because I'm not going to send you the actions unless you want it, is the heal tool. So your first level is heal. What you're going to do is take the heal tool, or the quick command for it is H. Oh no, that's hand, sorry, J. It was J. Is J. You're going to want to make sure that it's on content aware as well as sample all layers. That's going to go through the layer you're on, and pull the color and details from the layer below. So you're going to take this tool and go over the lines. If you've got a stylus, this part goes really fast. Right now I'm just using the touchpad, but you can go through and heal all of these lines. These are really good for the lines like under the eyes if you had an older person. Esther doesn't need it because she's so youthful. And then if you had like pieces like this that you wanted to get rid of, you can. I actually like that piece, so I'm going to bring it back. So you can kind of go through, and I'm just going to go through all of these areas in a certain spot so then I can show you the next layer just to clean up some of the rough lines that happen from the heal tool. So this will be a good section over here to show you, once the heal tools, you'll work on it. It at a certain point will like duplicate what's around it as a sample, and if there's a lot of hair, then it starts to look kind of like fuzzy. So what you're going to do then is leave the heal layer alone and add another layer on top, and this is going to be your clone layer. So you're going to take your clone tool, and depending on what the skin is, you can change the blending mode to either lighten or darken, depending on what you're trying to do in that area. I'm going to keep it on normal for now so I can kind of show you. You're going to want it on 20%. The flow is fine, but make sure your brush is super soft. So you can change that here, hardness. So this would be like a hard, and you want it to be fuzzy as possible. So I'm going down to 0 there, so it's super fuzzy. You're going to use Alt, and Alt basically gives you this like new sample cursor. The sample cursor will take a specific area, and you can see now that I'm dragging it, it's taking that area, and it will apply it as this really soft brush over another area. So what I usually do is sample somewhere close and then click and blend in. Sample, click, sample, click. And you can use this to like lighten under the eyes. So I wanted to select under her eyes and kind of go under, do it a couple of times so that it gets nice and blendy. I didn't listen to my own advice and I did it on the heal tool, so I'm backing back up. Okay, clone layer. Do it on the clone layer. Make sure you've got the clone layer clicked. Okay, so I'm going under the eyes, over in this area to kind of smooth out. If someone has like really splotchy skin and you want to kind of like do it that way, if you don't have like a portraiture plugin, this is like a really easy way to like smooth out the skin. And you can be more global about it or more specific. So I'm going to kind of like bring that back. If you realize that you have removed someone's like makeup or something and you want to like add on the rouge again, it gets spelled rouge, right? Rosé. You can use the same kind of methodology, the soft brush, B, I select B for brush, 20%. Actually, I usually go 10% if I'm adding blush back on. And you can sample by clicking Alt again and find a nice pink. I usually go with lips. And then you can just kind of add it to her cheeks. If you're keeping these black and white, that's like a good way to add some life back in there. So that's that layer. That would be under eyes and smoothing out the heel tool. So you can kind of see here's before and after heel tool. I didn't do a lot, but that's what you can do there. I'll show you kind of what that would look like in the sky too. The good thing is you have all these like good colors in here, so this will be easy to do. Just to save yourself the energy, I don't think you necessarily need to heel tool any of this stuff in the sky. Just go straight to clone tool. And source kind of off, since these are in horizontal lines. I would source here and just kind of blend over. You can do 100%. And then the brilliance of this, see how I've gone into the image and you're like, oh no, don't do that. You can turn this masking tool on by clicking the mask. Make sure you're on the mask. You're going to go to your brush tool. And you can make your brush hard or soft. I'm going to make it just a little harder so I can bring back in the parts of the hair that I want. Just a little soft. And then make sure this is on black. So if it's on black and your layer is white, then you're going to begin to make sure it's on 100%. Bring back those areas that you wanted to keep. And you might have to make the brush a little softer. So I get this kind of idea. You can play around with the softness of the tool. You want to bring some of that, and I've moved it to 20% just to bring in a little bit more of that hair again. You can see you can remove some of those bigger areas without having to go in and do each individual hair. And you can mask on and off by switching between the white and the black. So if I want to bring it back, some of that upper picture, or I want to take away. And I toggle back and forth between 100% and 20%. So you'll see this will change by pressing 1 or 2. 1 goes to 10, 2 is 20, 0 is 100. So then that's the sky. I wanted to show you this other retouching thing. She's not going to need it, but since I'm creating this tutorial, I'm going to turn all these off. Is the liquify tool. So create a copy. I think you might know how to do this one already, but you're going to create a copy of your image. So this will be what you're going to liquify, so that way you don't lose your original. So here's the palette. As soon as you click filter liquify, this thing shows up, which is kind of fun. Um, these are all the different tools for expanding and sucking in. Most of the time I just use this like warp tool, make my brush a little wider, and I usually sample, like, say if it's a female, the little bit of the neck to kind of like thin out. Ladies always like a thinner neck, and that looks more feminine. And then let's see, find a good. If they have like puffier arms, you can kind of make it wider and tuck in the arm. Like I said, she doesn't really need it, but another thing, if people feel like really bulky in the shoulders, you can kind of grab the whole thing and bring it in. And since you have the layer underneath, it will blend that out a little bit more if you're like really trying to thin folks out. Some magazine photographers like to, I mean, if the lady is pregnant, you know, obscure some things to make the form a little better, or like tuck in under the boobs, that sort of thing. But you'd have to bring some more in under the arms. So if you wanted to kind of like, that's another option. If you want to bulk people out, you can do the same thing, which is like, okay, so that's that. I'm going to cancel this layer because you don't really need it. You can use that method of photoshopping the clone over in this area if you wanted to kind of like remove or pick and choose what's kind of on there. Let's see what else. Heel tool you can use for like little marks like that. Her freckles are good. You know, you can use the heel tool here in the lines. She has really youthful hands, but sometimes when you have older ladies, they are self-conscious about these veins, so you can like use the clone tool also to like lighten some of these areas. Most of the time I just use a brush and sample one of these colors and then darken the highlights. But everything looks good there. Is there anything else? I think that's pretty much it. If you want me to finish up the rest of this, just let me know and I can do that. So now I have to figure out how to cancel the video since I've lost my other